If you're someone who sets a budget and you fail or blow it over and over and over again, did you know there is trauma in our money? And that can cause us to have a scarcity money mindset. When we have a scarcity money mindset, we can't hang on to money. We have a hard time spending our money. We have a difficult time saving money. All of these things can occur from that scarcity money mindset. And it's really hard to pinpoint, where is this coming from? Why can I not win with my money? But you can identify your scarcity money mindset. You can look at the trauma root of it, begin to challenge it and overcome it so you can finally win with your money. And today we're going to talk about a worksheet exercise that I've developed that can help you do just that. Hi, my name is Olivia. I'm passionate about helping you understand what relational trauma is so that you can heal from it, overcome it, and move on with your life. And today is all about how to overcome your scarcity money mindset. Here is the worksheet. You can find it on my website. I will leave a link for it in the description below. And as you work through the worksheet, it's going to ask you to do some exercises. It's going to ask some challenging questions that is meant to help you kind of uncover where this is coming from. So although this is not counseling and I am in no way a financial advisor, this is just questions that you can ask yourself and see if you can relate to some of these things that will help you to overcome that scarcity money mindset. So first off, where does it come from? What is a scarcity mindset, right? So how are you going to know if you have a scarcity money mindset? So we kind of mentioned some of those in the introduction. It would be things like you can't save your money. So you have a hard time saving money. That is often a big indicator that you may have a scarcity money mindset. The second thing is maybe you can save it, but you can't hang on to it. So you don't have, that same $20 for 3 or more years. That 20 is just coming and going. 20s are coming and going like crazy. So even if you do save it, you save it for like a month. Maybe you save it for 2 months, but month 3, something happens and you don't have that same 20 anymore. So maybe you do save money, but it doesn't last. You don't actually hang on to the money for long. And the third indicator can be maybe you have that money, but you have a hard time spending your money even to meet your own needs. So yes, you may pay your bills and you are responsible in that regard. You have a hard time when it's like, is this a need or is this a want? And what if I need this money for something else one day? So you can't really meet your basic needs in your present. So let's say that I'm on my feet all day and I really need a new pair of shoes. And so I'm like, okay, I'm going to save $120 for a new pair of shoes. So I save that $120. And when I finally get to the $120, I still can't go take the plunge and just buy myself that pair of shoes, because what if I need that $120 for something else? So in that regard, I would have a scarcity money mindset. Things that can make you spend your savings or not able to save up is going to be attached to scarcity. So that last example, it was a scarcity of money. I could potentially need that money for something else. Therefore, is this a want or is it a need? And if I can keep wearing my old shoes and get by, maybe it's destroying my back and my knees and making me really cranky and miserable, but I don't really need shoes. I have shoes I can wear, so I won't go get the shoes that would benefit my life. Even though I have the money saved, set aside for it, still, what if I need that money for something else? So that's like a money scarcity mindset. If you are talking about not being able to hang on to savings or not be able to get traction with saving, you keep breaking your budget, this would be scarcity with usually like items. So maybe I hear something scary, like this is no longer going to be available and you better hurry and get it while you can. Or this thing happened over here and that's going to affect things for us here. And so you better get this while you can. And so I'm thinking, what good is it to have money in the bank when I can't buy what I need? So I better just go buy all that I need, even though I don't really need it right now. And maybe I even have plenty as a backup while I come up with another plan. Still, that's going to tap into that scarcity money mindset because they're talking about scarcity. So that mention of scarcity, or even the hint of scarcity, That's going to get me to take my money out of the bank and go buy a whole bunch of stuff that I probably really don't need. And that's not going to actually even become scarce for me anyways. And I'll do this over and over and over. Another thing, it could be clearance. So maybe you hear about a really good deal on something that you already have a bunch of that you don't even really need, but because it's a clearance, you better get it before they're all gone because it's such a good deal. That's another thing that can tap into that scarcity money mindset. And then you're going to take your money out of savings, or money that you were supposed to put in savings, or money that you could have put in savings. And instead, you're going to go buy a whole bunch of items because it's such a good deal and it's not going to last long. But you can see the problem in that. If I'm doing that every single month with various items, yeah, I'm going to have a lot of stuff, but I'm not going to have any money in the bank to meet other needs. So it kind of becomes like this confusing balance. Like on one hand, I feel really smart because I just got all this stuff at a really good deal. But on another hand, was that really that smart because I don't have any money? So you can see where it can kind of get confusing. So those are some common habits and what we would see with someone behavior wise who's having a scarcity money mindset. But the other thing to think about, those were behaviors, but we can talk about thoughts and feelings. So often the thoughts are, I better get it now. What if, they're going to be gone? That's really common. I got to hurry. So emotions are going to be a lot of panic. There's going to be a lot of pressure. It's a lot of stress. So it's kind of like you're stressed, but then when you get the item, you have that relief. So you're kind of getting, that sense of relief and accomplishment from spending your money, which is like the opposite of what we're trying to do when we set up a budget. Yeah, a budget helps tell us how to spend our money, but if you hear that scarcity news, chances are if you already have your budget set, you didn't plan for that. And so now you're breaking your budget. And that means what's going to, not get funded, it's going to be your savings because you have to pay your bills, right? So those are some common thoughts and feelings, a lot of pressure, a lot of stress, a lot of being rushed. And the thoughts are, I need to go get this right now. I better hurry. Oh my goodness, these are going to be out. What am I going to do? So a lot of pressure and a lot of fear. Also, some things that are very common with that scarcity money mindset is not being able to stick to your budget. And we just talked about some of those reasons. So you can never get a grasp on it. You may, even pay for apps. You might buy really fancy cash stuffing envelopes. You might do all of these things just to try and get ahead on your budget, or actually come up with a budget that is going to work for you, just to find over and over that it never does. It doesn't change. And part of that is because until you go to that root of where that is coming from, what is the trauma that produces that mindset, it's not going to change, right? Okay, right. What's the goal? If we're looking at, this scarcity money mindset, and when I'm having a budget, what is it I really want? And when I'm running out and buying more meat or more flour or more yarn or, another generator just in case, or I'm ordering things that I just can't afford because of what could happen, maybe really expensive solar panels, in case. Whatever it is I'm spending my money in the present where I'm robbing myself for my future, what is it that you're trying to achieve? What is it you're believing you're doing in that moment? What is it you're trying to do, right? That's something that you want to identify. What is it I'm trying to do when I'm doing this? So that's one question to ask yourself. An exercise that you can do that's super helpful, if you go to the worksheet from my website, it asks you to do something called a spending analysis. It's just a fancy name for printing all 3 months, the last 3 months of anything you have access to spend. So this would be your checking account, your any type of a credit card, any type of card you have, period, that you have gotten money from and bought something with. You want to check your transactions for the last 3 months. And then I just have gotten a box of crayons. I've gotten markers, whatever you can do to color code your spending categories. So you're going to go through and you're going to see this is clothing. Blue is clothing. Green is groceries. Red is Target. If you're shopping at Target all the time, have a Target category. If you're going to Harbor Freights every other day, maybe Harbor Freights you're going to put in red. So every place that you're spending money, or categorically, like it's all fast food could be one category, then you would assign a color, and then you're just going to go through and add every single one of those up. So I'm going to make all of Target's, let's say, be red, and I'm going to have all my groceries be green, and I'm going to have my utilities be blue. So I'm going to go through the last 3 months on every account that I have access to spend, and I'm going to highlight those different colors to make the categories, and then I'm going to add them up categorically. And then I'm just going to look, where is my money actually going? Most times, I've not ever done this with someone who was not spending way more than they thought. So you can't go by what you think you're spending or what you believe you're spending, because that's part of how we stay stuck. It has to be on paper in black and white. It's not just, so many people will say, well, I already know what I spend. I hear that all the time. I already know what I spend. I already know what I spend. But when you go through and you do that exercise, then it's like, then I always hear, I had no idea. Way more than I thought. Starbucks, excuse me, that can be a big one. Maybe you want a separate Starbucks, right? That you're going to put all those in gray or all those in green, and then you're going to add all those up, because you really want to see, where exactly is my money going? Even someone who budgets and thinks that they know where their money's going because of the budget, I find most times you're spending outside of your budget, and that's why your budget's not working. So you can't just look at, oh, well, this is in my budget and this is where everything goes. It has to be, what is on paper in black and white? What can I actually see? And for sure know where my money is going. Once you do that and you add up the categories, you want to look at your 3 highest, and is that really where you want your money to go? So in looking at that, it's like, oh, wow. Yeah, no, I'm like disgusted. Most people are disgusted, right? By the time you really look at it, it's like, yeah, that's making me feel ill, knowing I gave them all that money and I don't even like that really. I didn't even want that half the time. Half the time I didn't finish it, or I don't even have that anymore. What am I doing? So it's really not quite as shocking enough of a wake-up call if you don't do the spending analysis. So that's really important part not to skip. So again, you can go through the worksheet and you can go through all of the questions. I'm just going to leave you with the last question. So before we said, what are you trying to do with how you're spending money? And then once you do the spending analysis, you want to ask yourself, what am I actually doing? Right? So this was my goal before, like when I'm making my budget, this is what I want. Maybe you want retirement. Maybe you want stability for your kids. Maybe you want to pay your house off. Maybe you want to buy a house. Maybe you're buying all these things so that you can become stable or feel secure. But when you go through that spending analysis, then it's like, but what am I actually doing? The way I'm spending my money and where my money's actually going, what am I really doing? Is what I'm actually doing what it is I think and believe I'm doing when I'm doing it? So see if those line up. Most times they don't. Let's give you a hint. They usually don't. From there, you're going to plug that into the worksheet and finish asking the rest of the questions and see if you can uncover your scarcity money mindset. And then it has exercises to help you to challenge it so that you can start to work to do something different. So it's just kind of a fun exercise that hopefully will benefit you so that you can stop spending your money how you do not want to spend your money, and you can start using your money to meet the goals that you've set for your life. So again, you can find it on my website for finding your scarcity money mindset, and I'll leave some more videos on the screen that's going to give you lots more information on relational trauma. Take good care, and I'm wishing you all the best with your money. See you in the next one.